What's up, y'all? We are live, Dog Talk Tuesdays. We end up starting an hour late. Waiting on Samba to join in. Let me see. Might have to send her another link. Copy. And we're going to be discussing basically her journey when it comes to the Excel and also the Brazilian pit monster, which they are now changing the name to the Brazilian bull. So she's going to give us some insight on that. From what I understand, she has helped in doing a lot of organizing of it being established as a new breed. So once she gets in here, let me see here. We will discuss the differences that they feel are between the two, and let's see, along with how they got there. And, she is also a XL breeder. I think it will be interesting to kind of see her contrast in it and what she feels about the two breeds. But right now, we are going to see how we can get her in here. I think she's trying to get in. Hold on. Let's see. Hi, Cam. What's up, man? Thanks for joining in. So waiting on her. Let me see here. Is she responding over here? All right, so she should have the link. That is definitely the link. And we're just waiting on her to get here. We'll give a couple more minutes. Let's see here. And Papa Joe, what's good, man? Waiting on Samba Kennels. I don't want to jump out there on her name. I think it is pronounced Aurea. I'm not gonna go for the last name yet. GIACOMELI. Anyway, she's waiting on her to get in so we can discuss the Brazilian bull again, kind of get a final understanding of where they're at with it. Yeah, definitely make sure you guys hit that like button, especially if you're on YouTube. But wherever you are, hit that like button. And but yeah, so we're gonna get on into that along with the contrast. She had just messaged me. Okay, I just heard a funny sound. There we go.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, I can see you. How are you doing? You hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to connect my earphones here.
Like it's freezing up on you. Looks like it's freezing up a little bit. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Um, good. Have you been?
I've been good. How are you?
Doing good. I'm doing good. We've been really looking forward to getting you on here. I did watch a few videos of you, so we did definitely want to get an understanding of the Brazilian pit monster, the Brazilian bull. But then I also realized in one of the videos, beyond XLs, you used to breed dogos, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. I bred dogos for 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, now I see you. My internet here is really bad. This is why I came to the car, because outside there's a little bit more internet. Um,
Hello? Okay, I hear you better now. Now I got you on my earphones. That's much better. So yeah, I bred dogos for 20 years. I started in Brazil, my career in breeding, dog breeding. It's been a pretty long journey, but I believe that, and dogo is my breed of heart. I just reached a level in dogos that I said I need a challenge. I love challenges.
That's cool.
So this is when I decided to look for another breed because dogos are a pretty tough breed to train, especially when you're a woman, when you're getting older. Things are not the same. My strength is not the same, and they require a lot. They're a pretty high
Right.
drive. So about about 2019 or 2018. Actually, 2017 was when I'm also a dog transporter, so I ship dogs
Okay.
internationally, and I used to travel with the dogs myself, and that was my
Uh-huh.
first contact um, ever with the breed, with the XL American Bullies. It was actually a
Okay.
couple of bossy dogs. I was traveling some bossy dogs to Europe, and and I think I picked them up in California and we flew them to Paris, and I was with them the whole time.
Uh,
And I love their temperament. I love, their attitude and the colors. They were beautiful. They were lilac trice, I think, at that time. Yeah, they were two lilac trice siblings, and it was a great experience. And I thought, well, this is really what I wanna. I love this breed. I want to get to know this breed a little better. In
right.
that time, the XL bullies were starting to really like boom. You know, um,
Yes. Yeah.
2017, 2016, 2017, 2018. That's when the XLs were really booming. And I started doing a whole bunch of transports for them, and for breeders that were XL breeders.
So you really
And then
saw a
in
lot
20,
of what was out there then.
I'm sorry.
You got to see a lot of what was out there as far as the XLs by you doing the transporting.
Yes, and I got to see a lot of great dogs because the dogs that I was transporting were dogs that belonged to big kennels, reputable kennels.
Got you.
Um, we transported. I think my first one was Bossy, and then Swag Kennels, Gatorhead Bullies. I think we transported some MVP. At the time, the
Right.
biggest kennels, I got to have contact with them, and that was really
Right.
important for me.
That's cool. That's cool. Did so going from now when you were breeding the dogos, were you breeding before you got into the XL, were you breeding the dogos for working or for show or was it both or
No,
what was your angle?
I I started in the dogos. Oops, sorry. I started in the dogos because I needed a guardian dog, and the dogos' main function, the primary function is hunting, hog hunting, but in Brazil, in the big cities, you don't have hogs, and I never even thought of hunting. But I studied for 2 years. When it came to dogs, I've had Rottweilers before,
Okay.
and but Rottweilers were a little too much. They were a little too much.
I know
I
what you
had a
mean.
young kid, and I was separated at the time, and I was alone with my son. My son was 5 years old at the house at that time, and I said, "Hey, I need a big dog. I don't like. I never was very fond of little dogs, like to have it for my. I love all dogs, but
Right.
you know, I don't see myself with a small dog. I like dogs that look like they're protecting me. So I
Right.
studied
I
for a
got you.
couple of years. I studied for a couple of years until when I saw the dogo, I said, "Man, this is everything that I was looking for. It's a beautiful white dog, stunning, lovely personality, very loyal to the family, loves children.
Right.
But with all of that comes a dominant dog that will not accept every stranger. They will accept strangers as long as I'm with them. And if they like the vibe, they feel the energy.
They're making their own decisions.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it. They will accept the owner's, they will feel the owner's energy. If a doggo sees that the person that's with you, he will respect it. Like if you have a friend with you in your house and you have a doggo, he will respect your friend. But if that same friend comes alone the next day, he's not coming into the house.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So even though it is not their main function, they perform guarding of the house very, very well. They're very good guardians.
Yes.
And I fell in love with the doggos. I started I just had one female, and then I started getting involved with the breed. This is when I actually fell in love with dog breeding and dog showing, because I started going to dog shows just to watch.
Got you.
Never in my life I could ever imagine that I would be involved with dog breeding or dog showing. Um, and then all of a sudden, I see myself surrounded by a lot of breeders, teaching me things, teaching me about dog showing, and I'm getting to know all these breeders, and I started being part of the Dogo community and going to barbecues. We have a
Right.
pretty good community. The dog community in Brazil, like every community, has their problems, but we're pretty united people, and we're always having events. So I was in
I
every
noticed
event.
that. I noticed that.
Yes.
Just watching, honestly, what I kind of see going on over there reminds me a lot of how the dog community with the pit bulls, the beginning stages of the XLs, but especially with the pit bulls and the Rottweilers in like the mid 90s, like right around 94, 95. It you like there were so many, especially in Southern California, because I'm from Los Angeles. And at that period, we had the riots, and then there was like the gang treaties, and then all of a sudden we were all able to kind of go everywhere when it came to dogs and cars and parties without any issues. And that lasted only
Yeah.
about 6 months, but everybody was on the same page. But even till today, those who were into the cars, the motorcycles, the dogs still remain close. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And when I kind of see what's going on in with the mentality in Brazil, it kind of reminds you of that same vibe. Like we're here together, and we like the direction of this. And not only do we like it,
Sorry,
but
your
we want it
voice
to
your,
work.
your voice is cutting out really bad. Let me move my car here to see if I can hear you better. Just a second, okay?
No problem. You hear me now? You hear me? You can't hear me?
Reconnect here, Jim. Can you hear me
Okay.
okay? Okay, your voice is cutting like it gets crackled, like it's like a robotic voice. Let me see, talk to me.
Right. Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you
Just a
hear me?
second. Let me see my internet.
Nope.
Yeah, I hear you, but it's
Messing up.
robotic.
Okay. When you're ready.
Hello?
All right. Can you hear me? Check, check, check.
Yes, I hear you now.
Okay. No, what I was saying is that I noticed in Brazil, when I look at the pit monster, it's not just a dog, it seems to be a unified movement with the breeders and the supporters. And that's something that I think we all kind of have to admire. Um, with that being said, when you came from the Dogos, you got into the XL, and now are you still breeding the XLs, or have you moved on to the the Brazilian bull or the Brazilian pit monster?
Yeah, sorry. I had better connection. I think my Wi-Fi was off and now I turned it off again. Your question?
Okay, can you hear me?
I hear you.
It sounds robotic. Let me see here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Now all of a sudden your voice sounds robotic now.
Let me see here. Is this app or
What did you say?
in the other one?
That was a little better. What did you say?
Out of the trees here a bit.
Can you hear me?
How is that now?
Okay, I can hear you now.
I hear you well now. Okay, great. Sorry about that, guys. I live in the country, you know, like it's really, really countryside here. And the internet.
I'm so sorry.
It's cutting out again.
How do you see this now?
I can hear you. I can see
Is it
you
better?
and hear you now. Yes.
Okay, good.
You know what I had to do? Because
Yeah,
I
I
moved
moved
to the
my car a
woods.
little bit.
I had to get Starlink. So far, that's been the best thing I've had. And we live in the middle of the woods, but that I went through about
Which
4 different
which
internet
state?
companies.
Yeah, we don't have that one here. We only have one option here, to be honest.
What state are you in?
Texas.
Okay. If you get Starlink, operating off the satellites. You can get it at Home Depot or go to their website and get it. It's like Elon Musk's little thing. And because I went through 4 different internet companies.
Okay.
And I kept avoiding Starlink because I think how much did it cost us? I think it cost me about $500-600. They end up sending it. I got the satellite. I put the satellite up. You have to make sure it faces north. And then I guess he's got a bunch of small satellites that are just constantly moving around. It goes from one satellite to the next. It's been the best thing I've had so far. Because I live in a rural area,
I
so the internet's terrible.
I'm definitely gonna check that out. Thanks for that. Thank you for that.
Look
And
into it.
I didn't get the chance to thank you so much for calling me to do this live with you. I apologize for the delay, for the change, because I have a good excuse, I should say, or a good reason. My parents just arrived from Brazil and they have been here for a couple of days and they have never been to my house in 5 years that I live here.
Oh, really?
Plus,
Okay.
I have 23 puppies, so I'm trying to organize my life and my businesses and my family. It's been very, very there's a lot going on, so I apologize for
No
postponing for
problem.
an
I
hour.
appreciate you taking the time, to do this, because it's been, a huge discussion, a lot going on, especially in the bully community. Even one of my things but yeah, don't forget, try Starlink. So, but one of my things with in the bully community is, you got some people that saying it's the same breed as the XL. Then you
Yeah,
have I kind of looked at it, which I guess is somewhat of a contradiction. I looked at it like, okay, to me, it came off more as a Brazilian bloodline. But at the same time, you also have the Jack Russell and the Parsons. We took them into 2 separate breeds. You have the Johnson and the Scott. We took them into 2 separate breeds. So with the
correct.
Brazilian, if it's recognizable, you guys are pushing for more functionality. Because to me, I break breeds into temperament, ability, and look.
Right.
To me, though the look is similar, You guys are pushing for a more consistent temperament. You guys are pushing for it to be more functional. There's your ability.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
You're pushing for it to be more alert. There's your ability. So when so I don't see a problem in doing it, but what to you, what to the Brazilians, the people who are part of the movement, what
Yes.
separates the pit monster from the XL and making it its own breed rather than just another bloodline of the XL?
And can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, yeah, because it keeps going robotic sometimes. I believe that the concept of both breeds are the same. The ingredients used were the same in the beginning, but now they are starting to diverge to different directions, especially the Brazil movement has all of a sudden became very consistent in what they want and what the dogs are looking like. Uh, True that is, but that if you look at a dog from Brazil, you already know it's a Brazilian dog. And to sustain this new breed as a new breed, we do have its own standard, and the standard is actually slightly different than the XL. So for me, as a person that is in dog breeding for many years, what differs one breed to the other is the breed type. If you look at a dog and you identify this dog as a different dog than the other one, or you can identify it to some kind of, the morphology tells you something about it, that's consistency, that's breed type. For example, when you see a dog from Brazil, you already know that it's from Brazil. If you know, oh, they might say, oh, it's a bully from Brazil, or it's a pit monster, or even, oh, it looks like an XL, but it looks from Brazil. You don't even got to be a breeder. You know, I have a lot of people that are not even breeders, and they are already identifying the Brazilian dogs as Brazilian dogs because they have traits of their own. Funny thing is, they talk a lot about the eyes that are closer together, and this is really true. I will not deny the appearance and the morphology, the anatomy of their head types appears that they have heads closer together, but in fact, what that is, in some cases they do, okay? In some cases they do, but most of the times, if you measure the distance between each extremity of the eyes, it's pretty much the same of an XL. The difference is the area surrounding the eyes on the outside, the outskirts of the eyes, if I could say that. Sorry, my English is sometimes horrible to understand,
No, I
but I
get what
think
you're
you'll
saying.
understand it.
I get what you're saying.
So, because in our standard, and mind you, we have two types in the standard of the Brazilian bulls. We have the standards, which is like a classic, you know, it's the old school kind of pit monsters, the ones that resemble more of a terrier. And the funny thing is that the standard looks nothing like an XL. It looks more like the old big pits, the Camelots, you know, the red dogs from the 90s, from the 2000s. And that's the standard. I'm sorry?
The like Camelot, Chevy, all those the weight pull dogs.
Correct. The weight pull dogs. That's it. They resemble a lot of those types. And then we have the extreme Brazilian bull. The extreme class of the Brazilian bull is what you guys are seeing now as, for example, my dogs. They have their, you know, in the standard, they will require extremities, volume, and there's a lot of volume, there's a lot of muscles, there's a lot of lines. You see a lot of beautiful lines, rounder lines around the skin,
Yes.
because they're supposed to have tighter skin. So when you have that, the diameter of the head that's really big, and one of the requirements, because a dog for me starts in the head, breed type starts at the head.
Yes.
If you look at a dog, he might have the body of a Rottweiler, but if he has a Doberman head,
You're gonna say it's a
it's not going to
Doberman.
be a Rottweiler.
Exactly.
You're going to see a fat Doberman. Now, if you see an XL bully with a pit bull terrier face, you're going to say, oh, it looks like a fat pit.
Mm-hmm.
So the resemblance of the breed type is usually, it starts at the head 100%.
Yes.
So when you see the extreme type of the Brazilian bulls, what you're looking at is a dog with massive, massive zygomatic arches, which is the temporal here, the temporal muscles. You see a beautiful muscle expressed masseters. So you see a lot of muscles in the mass.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, if you make a drawing and you put like, let's say you put two eyes with 1 inch apart each other, and then you draw a skinny face around it, the eyes are going to look like they are apart.
I get what you're saying.
If you draw the same two eyes with the same 1 inch apart, and you make a big circumference around it, it's going to look like it's closer together. So
yes,
the understanding of the eyes closer together is a little misunderstood. I think it's misunderstood.
Okay, so you're saying that so the distance between the eyes is the same or similar. You're just saying
in
that,
some
but because
cases,
of the head is bigger.
Yes, the optical
gotcha.
impression is that the eyes are closer together. I'm not gonna say that we don't have some dogs that have the eyes closer together, and this is a trait that comes from some of the dogs that were based in Brazil, in the Brazilian bulls. But this is something that is not desired. Okay, it is not desired.
As a group or the breeders, you guys are getting away from that.
Yeah, that's something that is not desired in the breed. But the head, the muscles, is something that is extremely important.
Right.
And when you see the XL American bullies, one of the things that I see the most is a very volatile breed type within the individuals that I see. So you see, if you go to a dog show, I just gave this example in another live that I did. You go to a dog show and you see 5 different dogs in the XL show. If they are from 5 different breeders, you're going to see 5 different types. The breed type is not set. It's very volatile and I believe that the reason that the breed has gone to many different directions, there are beautiful XL American bullies that are breed type. But on the other hand, you also have a lot of dogs that were added to the breed to gain more bone, to gain more height and weight, because the XL community is very big in height and weight, and I'm not.
Yes.
I don't care about my dog's height and weight. I want to make sure that it's a healthy dog and that it looks amazing and it's harmonic. Me, as a dog show person, I want to see harmony. I want to see functionality. And when I say functionality, I'm not saying that I need a functioning dog. I don't need a working dog in my house, but I need a dog that will move and that will spend as less energy as possible because the structure is put together right.
Correct.
This way, the dog will live longer because there's less waste of energy on that structure, on the morphology. If you know what I mean.
Yes, and I look at the XL and we go back to, Juan Gotti, and we make our way up to the Chevy dogs and everything, and you can see me. Again,
I can't
let's
really
tell the
hear
truth.
you now. Voices
Help
were
a little
back
bit.
again. Let me see if I try my Wi-Fi here. Oh, we got better now.
You hear me?
Just a second. Yeah, the thing is, my Wi-Fi is not connecting. I don't know what's going on.
I can hear you clearly now, but I can't see you. I can see you now.
Can you hear me clear?
I can hear you
Okay,
clear now.
good.
Okay. So
All right, perfect.
one of the issues I had with the XL, and I breed XLs, um,
Mm-hmm.
like you were saying, they were pushing for weight and all the, especially weight. Like a lot of people don't understand how detrimental for the dog that is when they do decide to move. And like I explained to a lot of people in my group, is eventually the dog will learn it's easier not to move. And by doing that,
Exactly.
you start losing not just movement and functionality and health, you also start to lose the intelligence of the dog. And, and then when it got, probably about 15, 20 years ago, all of a sudden they started, when the pocket got popular, it was like the XL was chasing the look of the pocket. Whereas
Right.
when you look at other breeds that are broken down, like the giant schnauzer is not expected to look the same build with the short legs as the miniature schnauzer.
Correct.
The standard poodle is not expected to have the same leg length to body ratio as the miniature or the teacup poodle. You know what I mean? So I never
Correct.
understood why they push that. And then now that we're here in the show ring, the XL, the standard, we're slowly seeing the classic the same way, and even the pocket. There's this English bulldog build, not American bulldog, not oldie bulldog. There's an English bulldog build where you just crop the ears, giving them a muzzle, a tail, and we're at different heights. And to me, it hurts the breed. And I see people, like even health testing has been pushed very hard in the last 5 to 10 years. But I see people who have health tested dogs. I go back to their pages, and all of a sudden today there's these wings because the dog passed. Well, the dog passed the health test, too many bulldog traits.
Mm-hmm.
So once it hits 7, 10 years, that's a wrap. You know what I mean? Whereas if we added more leg, we added more functionality, these dogs would, especially if you health test it, these dogs would hit 15, 16, 17 years. But we're talking about it in the XL community, the standard community, the pocket community. We're using health testing to cover it up, but nobody wants to admit that nature does not allow the bulldog to live that long. The English
Yes.
bulldog's trait to live that long. And so when I look at what you guys have done with the Brazilian bull, added a little bit more leg. You're expecting alertness, intelligence. You're expecting functionality. Like you guys kind of went back to where the XL used to be thought of, and it somehow went one direction, and you guys have kind of stayed on course. So um,
Yeah, the
definitely
looks is
respect.
the thank you. Yeah, I agree with you. The looks are very consistent. In the standard, if you whenever ABKC publishes the standard, we can maybe talk about it again here.
Okay.
But there are quite a few differences between the XLs and the extreme Brazilian bull. One of the issues that is very interesting. It is the first time I see a standard state this trait that is desired, which is the diameter of the head
Mm,
must be 10 centimeters, which is about 2.5 inches, maybe, if I'm not mistaken,
okay.
bigger than the height to the withers.
Okay, okay, so the diameter of the head.
Yeah. So if a head is what, 27 inches here, right? Let's say the dog should not be taller than 25 inches.
5 inches.
25.
Okay,
So
okay.
they're actually pushing for big dog heads.
Yes, but it's
It's
detail.
it's not that they're not pushing, they're pushing to lower the heights. No, they're pushing to bigger heads because the big head is a big trait of the Brazilian bulls. We are supposed to have, the most muscular appearance in all breeds. And this is something that I
Pushing for the
think we're
body that you're pushing for the body and the legs that support that head though.
I'm sorry,
You guys you're pushing for the big head, but you're also pushing for the body, the muscle, the height that
to support,
supports. There you
that will
go.
support the big head and all that muscle and all that bone. Um, and one thing that I want to tell you, one of the reasons that I think the XLs went to different directions than what the breed type requires, if he had stayed just in the bulldog traits, even though we're talking, like you mentioned, some English bulldogs, but I think that what screwed the breed type was the mastiffs that were,
Yeah.
the mastiff traits are very noticeable. Any dog person that understands dogs will notice that um, the type of skin, the type of coat,
The
the fish,
looseness.
the
Yeah.
looseness, the facial features, the roundness. And that's why the mastiff traits, if you think the terrier traits that is more dominant, the terrier traits are very dominant over the bulldog traits.
Yes.
And if you think that's dominant, I think that the mastiff traits are even more dominant. I was talking to Raul from QBN in one of the lives that we did, or the interview that I did with him, and he brought that up, and it makes a lot of sense. Um, when you look at a dog, even the insertion of the tail, the position of the elbows, it's there, and it's very, very hard to break that.
You
But the
want to
good
you want to
thing,
know something?
yeah,
Um,
sure.
okay. So I used to breed band dogs. Okay.
Okay.
Now I went from well, I started with pit bulls to Rottweilers, and then I got into band dogs. And from band dogs, I started going from doing back and forth band dogs and bull lurchers. I have both of them going.
Right.
The bull lurchers were difficult because the breeders I was working with, they were actually in Texas. And
Okay.
Texas is a lot of flat land. Whereas in California, we have a lot of rough land, rocks and hills and stuff like that. So with the bull lurchers, you're just crossing greyhound and pit bull and breeding them we're mostly breeding for like bobcats, coyotes, things like that,
Oh, nice.
especially
Okay.
coyote.
Mm-hmm.
And so I needed more pit bull or American bulldog in my line because the thinner line of dogs that were more greyhound, they would be limping a lot the next day. You know what I mean? After running and
Right.
working. Now, when
Right.
I would go to Texas with my dogs, they fly, no problem. They could go for the whole weekend. You know what I mean?
Because it's a
But
straight.
it's smooth and it's straight. What I noticed with the band dogs and breeding band dogs is that I more liked it to be more bull or pit bull bred. Over time, though, the terrier dominates the mastiff.
Mm-hmm.
I think what happened with the XLs is we kept bringing the mastiff in, not being honest about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened because when I was breeding band dogs, terrier always, anytime I wasn't bringing something new in, terrier slowly started to dominate it. The only time I noticed the mastiff traits would come out, whether it was from Rottweiler, King Corso, Doorbell was cool, but they had the lips. You know what I mean? The loose lips. Um,
So wait,
with
let me understand this. You did these breedings for the band dogs. You used all of these types of dogs. You used the mastiffs. You used.
yes,
Did you mix them together? Which trait
yes,
do you say that it's the most dominant one? Like
the
which
terrier,
the
the terrier
terrier
trait is yes. If you
over the
so like
mastiff?
it will dominate the mastiff now. Usage of like American Bulldog gets taken over by both. But the
Right,
American Bulldog kind of has some mastiff traits anyway, especially the Johnson line. The Scott line is a more terrier version of the American Bulldog.
right.
The pit though, when you start crossing, like if you got the masters, the various masters, and you start bringing in that pit bull, even
Mm-hmm.
if it's down the line and you haven't gone back to it for a while, because I started getting people that wanted more than one dog, or they had other dogs. I started coming across a lot of that. And so I was starting to get away from the pit bull just a little bit, but the dogs needed to work. They needed to be able to protect, and they needed to also be able to hunt hogs. And then
Makes
I would
sense.
tell people whatever, if they're looking for protection, then I would look in the litter and I would say, okay, these three right here, these are going to be good for protection. These four over here, they're going to be more for hog hunting. They're going to have a little more
Mm-hmm.
energy and be a little more playful than what you want. These three right here, they're a little more solitary. They like being with me. They like being with my wife. They're going to be better for you that are looking for protection. So that's kind of how we would make the division. But I still had to keep somewhat of a consistency. But what I did notice is if I got away from any pit bull, I started bringing in the mastiff, and then I stopped bringing in the mastiff, and I start bringing the lines together, start getting more
The
and more
terrier
terrier.
traits, yeah,
It
yeah, you
would
would.
start showing up again.
Yeah,
It would start showing up again. Even if they were the same distance behind, as long as I started breeding the lines together without bringing anything in, the terrier trait started showing up. And that's why when I look at the XL, it's like, okay, how is it ending up more mastiff? I think a lot of the XLs started off with more mastiffs and bulldogs, American bulldog, uh, what they admit in our pedigrees back in the day. Um,
yeah. The
and I
good
think,
thing
but
about, I think that it's important that you're saying this because the good thing that we are leading by example to a lot of people, and this is why a lot of people are looking up to our breed, the Brazilian bulls,
yes,
because we're still a breeding formation. You understand everything about breeding formation, so some things are acceptable. We're still forming the breed, even though we already have a consistent look. We accept outcrossing between four breeds. The
okay,
terriers, the the American Pit Bull Terrier, the American Bulldog, the American Bully, and the Old English Bulldog. Meaning we don't have to lie on our pedigrees, and this is something that I don't even think that the stud books should be closed for the American Bully and the XLs because it's such a new breed. Even the American Bullies are, but I think the pockets and the standard have already reached their consistent look. Now
I think so.
the XLs, I would definitely would like to see the stud books open for a little bit longer until the breed has reached its goal because um, I don't know. I don't know what the future of the XLs are going to be, but I see a very bright future for the Brazilian bulls. I have
I
my
agree.
D, my
I
DMs
agree.
have been going crazy. Thrower, my DMs have been going crazy of people wanting Brazilian bulls. I'm in a good advantage because I have the genetics of Brazilian bulls, but they are American Bully registered. They were the only ones, there's only a few American Bully registered dogs that are Brazilian Bulls. So I can still provide that outcrossing. I can still provide that genetics to the American Bully community. But on the other hand, a lot of people don't even want American Bullies registered. They just want Brazilian Bulls. And I'm considered the biggest Brazilian Bull breeder outside of Brazil in the world. But I don't have one single Brazilian Bull registered dog in my yard, you know?
So where's the ABKC sitting? So that if I'm not mistaken, ABKC is bringing on the Brazilian Bull as a separate breed, correct?
Yes, he just announced it, unofficially announced it, that they will be registered as a separate breed. And this is something that we've been negotiating and fighting for because we want our breed to be recognized as a new breed. It has its own standard. It has its own gene pool. It has its history. It has, its type. And even though if he accepted as a different class, because he could have done that, I think it would have been interesting because I would have loved to see XLs go to the ring against Brazilian Bulls before they go to the best of breed.
Right.
But that's something that's a little more delicate, and it would require some criteria, and it would have made it more complicated. But we're very happy because it is a new breed. It's a breed that is booming. The acceptance is huge, and we are part of history. I consider myself very lucky. I could have jeopardized all my dogs because he could have just said, hey, all your dogs are now, Brazilian Bulls, and
Right.
you would have drowned my market, but I still did it thinking of the breed. I was more worried about having this breed recognized because that was always what I hustled for. That was always what I wanted. I wanted to bring Brazil to the map. And I think I did it. In 4 years, I think I did it.
I think you did it. I think you definitely did it. And
I'm not saying that I did it myself. Everybody did it. It's a big team effort. I just did my part in what I could. I guess I'm the spokesperson for the breed here in America. But I don't want to take this credit of my own. I mean, the first credit goes to the breeders and the dogs because they are amazing. And IBC has a big input in this. And I'm very close to IBC in Brazil, the Bully Registry in Brazil. And of course, the credit to Dave for accepting, and recognizing us as a breed.
How many registries? So your ABKC over here, IBC is strictly in Brazil, correct?
IBC is the mother club for the pit monsters in Brazil. For the ones that don't know, the Brazilian Bulls were known as pit monsters. And before we searched for international recognition, we needed to set a new name. Because of course, if you go to live in an HOA or if you go to hop on an airline with a dog that's going to go, no. Oh. And some people are trying to call them Brazilian monsters, but it still doesn't make sense. The guys that didn't. We also have a community that is divided in Brazil. We have the people that don't want to accept the Brazilian Bulls, and they think that the Brazilian Bulls should have been called Brazilian monsters, and they didn't do the alliance. We have an alliance with IBC, ABBR, BKR. I don't remember the last one. I don't remember, but there's like 4 or 5 entities in Brazil, and they all had its own standard for the pit monsters. But there was light differences, but everybody is connected. Everybody, they support each other's events. It's a big community.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so we had a big alliance, and we made only one standard for everybody. And this way, these institutions will be recognized by ABKC too. I think, I'm not sure 100%, but before ABKC would only accept IBC. Now with the alliance of these 5 entities, I believe that they're going to be able to transfer their pedigrees to ABKC as well.
ABKC. Okay. Okay. Let me ask you this before we close out. You don't want to answer this. You don't. Brazil secretly looking forward to getting in the ring with the XL and blowing them out the water?
Say that again?
I said, is Brazil secretly looking forward to getting in the ring by those XLs and blowing them out the water?
Damn, yeah, of course. We're already doing it.
That's
I mean, look
hilarious.
at Champion Tractor. He's a Brazilian bull. He fits, I think he's a great representation of the Brazilian bull standard. And he just won. He became a champion in only 7 rings. And he went to nationals.
So Tractor is competing as an XL.
He is an XL. Here in America, he's always going to be an XL because he's already registered as an XL American Bully, as American Bully in the XL class.
You guys stud books are open, so you still can use him within the pit monster or the Brazilian bull lines then, correct?
Oh yeah, if I have a Brazilian bull female, I can still breed Tractor to a Brazilian bull female and registered with IBC, but I cannot do that with ABKC though.
He will so not. They've made a definite separation then.
Yeah, but he even said in the future, depending on how the breed goes, he might open the registration for the Brazilian bulls to breed to XLs again. So just so everybody understands here, I don't want to make this more confusing than it already is. All the imports up to March 2025 were imported as XLs as long as they passed by analysis by people at ABKC, judges or whatever. You have to send, pictures, you have to send the pedigree, and it had to be an IBC or ABBR registration. So if everybody that imported dogs did that by March 2025 or April 2025, which is this month, they were pit monsters, and they were Brazilian bulls were still registered as American Bully. From now on, all the new imports from Brazil or from any other country that comes with a pedigree that says Brazilian Bull or Pit Monster will be registered as Brazilian Bull in ABKC. He will not accept, even though I asked him and I said, listen, in Brazil, the stud books are open for Brazilian bulls, meaning if I want to crossbreed the 2 breeds, the XL American Bully with the Brazilian bulls, I can do it in Brazil. But they're going to be registered as Brazilian bulls, not as American Bully, because American Bully stud books is closed. Are you going to accept that? He said, not for now. As far as now, let's just make sure that the breed establishes itself, that we have a good stock here in America. And depending on how the breed goes and how it's maybe in the future we might think about it, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think he wants to keep it separate.
So you keep keeping them totally separate. Now, and I understand that. I understand that. So
and I think because at the end of the day, the breeding of the two individuals, if you breed a Brazilian bull to an XL American Bully, the results are just ridiculous. They're very good. But you end up losing a little bit of the Brazilian bull personality, the identity.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
When you say that personality, that identity, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
I mean the type, the breed type.
Okay. Some of the look.
For example, I bred. Are you there? Yes, you are. Sorry, you went blank on me. When I bred Shake.
Yes.
When I bred Klaus to a Whopper's daughter, Whopper's littermate sister, Lily, the puppies, they carry a lot of Klaus traits because Klaus, even though he's an outcross, he has a lot of terrier. He has very dominant genes, and that I could see in all his puppies. All of the breedings that we did, because Klaus was a he was a phenomenon when he came. You know, he was a phenomenon. I've never seen a dog, especially a fawn dog, in the next cell that's everybody looking for tries or merles. This fawn dog just came and it shook the world, you know. We did
Right.
a lot of breedings with him. And if you get puppies from every single mother that is an XL, Klaus is so dominant that he printed himself in every puppy. Like you can
Gotcha.
see traits, you can see Klaus traits in every puppy. He's very dominant. But that's because he doesn't have bulldog in him. He has 6% bulldog, but I believe that has to do with the DAX in both generations that he has, in both sides.
Right.
Um,
Right.
he has DAX influence, which means he has some bulldog in there, you know?
Yeah, Dax is heavy bulldog. Yeah.
People say to me that they don't, that he doesn't, but
Yeah,
can you hear
Dax is
me?
heavy
I
bulldog.
lost you.
I can hear you now. You hear me? You hear me? No? You can't hear me?
I stopped talking, guys, because I cannot see you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me? Let's see here.
Hello, hello.
I hear you. I hear you. Can you hear me? Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Oh, I see you now. Yes.
Okay. There we go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. So, but even though he threw in his traits, these don't look as much as Brazilian Bulls as they look more American Bulls. Same thing happened with Tractor, and same thing happens with Shake. They are throwing, but it's become more American Bully than Brazilian Bull. You know what I mean?
Got you. Got you. Let me ask you one last thing.
So I think
Go ahead.
that's why I think that even the Brazilian breeders, um, they want to maintain the type. They don't want to lose that. And if we start mixing the two types, you know, we're gonna end up losing the identity in the breed type.
There, in closing this out, is there anything that you guys want, not just the XL people, the American Bully people, but the general public here in the US? Is there anything that you guys would like to say or push or get people to understand when it comes to the Brazilian Bull?
Yes, I think that there's a lot of talk that the Brazilian Bulls are more aggressive, and it's not true. The temperament are amazing, and one of the reasons that we brought the American
Your
Bulldogs to the
is breaking up. The sound is breaking up.
is is it better now? Just
Sounds
a second. Let me move here.
okay. Now you sound good.
Is it better now? It is better. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yeah,
can
I
hear
hear
you.
you.
Perfect.
Okay, so the one of the reasons that the Brazilian breeders brought in and accepted the American Bulldogs was because of the temperament. Mind you, the Bulldogs that were brought in, they're not working Bulldogs. They are selected by Sunshine Bulls, which is a breeder that's been doing it for 25 years. And her main priority is temperament and type. They're not dogs that have loose skin, they have tight skin, they have beautiful muscle, they have thin coat, and they have amazing temperament. So, um, you know, that's something that down that terrier trait from the Camelots that were very, very hot dogs in the 90s and the 2000s. I'm sure you know about it.
Yes.
So that bringing the bulldogs into the Brazilian bulls was the best thing for the temperament, you know?
Got you. Got you. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Well, I do want to thank you for joining my live. We did have a lot of questions. Looking forward to seeing you guys compete with the XL in the ring. Um, Again, I want to thank you. As things change and I start to hear things, I'll definitely reach out to you. If you've got anything that you guys want to promote or look, even though I push the XL Bully, I get a lot of breeders from different breeds on my page, and I'm just kind of starting to build it back up because of the whatchamacallit. I had no internet while I was here. So it took me about 3 years and I finally got Starlink, and that's what's been working. So I'm building everything back up to where it was before. So anytime you want anything, reach out to me. Anything you want to put out there, reach out to me and we can definitely do that, okay?
Man, I really appreciate you. I appreciate the opportunity to be in your platform and let me talk about the breed. I think this is the moment in history to people that are looking for a new breed to start, because
Yes.
we're going to be the first ones, you know, and
There you go.
and you know, being the first ones is always the great, you know, it's the opportunity
That's the
to be
truth.
one of the first ones in a breed in
That's
America.
the
The
truth.
market is huge. The acceptance is huge. These dogs are healthy. All of my dogs are health tested and have great results, because I don't even import a dog that is not health tested priorly in Brazil, and then I redo the tests here. I'm very big on temperament. Coming from Dogo Argentino, I'm very big on temperament. I have, you know, I have kids, I have children, I have family always over. So it's very important that my dogs are good with people and they're good amongst themselves. If you see my Instagram, please follow Samba Kennels. And I
Yes.
also have a YouTube channel, if you allow me, Samba Kennels in YouTube. You're going to see lots of videos of my dogs all together, all males and females. They're amazing. They're beautiful. It's a beautiful pack that I have here in my yard. And
Okay,
I
so
think this
Samba
is
Kennels
a
on
great moment.
Instagram, Samba Kennels on
Samba
YouTube.
Kennels on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok.
Okay. Oh, TikTok too. Okay.
I don't do TikTok much. I just repost, you know, what I post on Instagram there. But my YouTube channel is really growing fast. I'm very happy. I'm gonna invite you to do a live there someday.
Definitely. I look forward to it. I look forward to it.
And we're gonna talk about, yeah, I would love to talk about your history and your dogs.
Definitely, definitely. I look forward to it. Well, thank you for joining. I love what
Thank
you
you.
guys are doing. I love the unity that you guys have and everybody being behind the same movement. You just don't see a lot of that today. With the internet and people their minds start going all over the place. So for all you guys to be, you know, on the same page, you know, much respect for that.
Thank you. And it was a pleasure being here again. Um, I I will invite you to be in my channel if you accept. It would be my pleasure.
I I will
And
definitely accept.
thank you for your time and for your patience with my internet and with my English. And of course, the
No
setup
worries.
here is not the best because I do have a guest in my office, so I couldn't do the live
Okay.
there. But maybe next live we're gonna have it, you know, a better setup. Thank you
No
again.
problem. No problem. We'll be in touch.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. All right, so you guys, that was Aurea from Samba Kennels, and you know we have been talking about the pit monster, the Brazilian bull, and that you got to give them their credit. You got to give them their credit. They are aimed in one direction. They're not letting the internet and everything be all that kind of causes people to be all over the place. They're staying focused. They've got a written standard. You can't knock it. So we'll be back again next Tuesday at 7. Always remember, as dog owners, remember, mind follows body, body follows mind. So do what's best for your dog mentally and physically. And then breeders out there, remember, form follows function, function follows purpose, purpose follows the breeder. So don't just better the breed, use the breed to make a better dog, and we are out.